Hey y'all, this is Aubrey O'Shea back again, baby. I be getting so excited sometimes before I press record. Sometimes I'll be like, Lord, give me the strength. But then when I press record, I just get so excited, and this is how I feel when I do a lot of things. Sometimes, y'all, you gotta move into doing something. You gotta move into feeling it. The feeling does not always precede the action. The feeling does not always precede what needs to get done. Sometimes you gotta move into it, and before you know it, your feelings will catch up. Because, man, discipline and hard work is a motherfucker. That's why this Ampersand episode is coming to y'all so late. I ain't seen y'all in about 2 weeks. What's going on? But it has been a lot going on in my universe, y'all. And I was like, it's only a few, y'all. I only got a handful. And I said by the end of the show, I'm on 10. So I need y'all to share, like, subscribe. I need y'all to subscribe. Okay? But for those of you who do not know me, my name is Aubrey O'Shea. And this is the Ampersand podcast where two things are true at once. Now, I just got to let you guys know before we get into the episode that moving forward, the Ampersand's episodes will be a little bit shorter, okay? Because it takes a lot of work to do these things, man. Like, it takes me about couple hours to record one of them if the episode is going to be an hour long, and then you have to edit it, all of that bullshit. You know how it go. And usually in the last couple ones, I've kind of been like freestyling and freeforming, and I don't know how those land. So, for the sake of time, I'm going to condense the episodes and I'm going to bring y'all more information in the future to where it doesn't have to be as loaded, you know? And if you want more content, I'll be doing more stories and more Ask Aubrey's. So those will be fun to fill up our day. And, just to listen on the drive to work, on drive home, whatever y'all like to do. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so today we're going to talk about how you can be saved and you can love Beyonce. Because as a Jesus follower, I really honestly and truly feel that Jesus would be listening to Beyonce. And he probably would even like the song Church Girl. Now, I don't know how much he delved into like obscenities, but the disciples that Jesus hung with, I know them niggas would have been. Can you imagine what the disciples would be listening to these days? Jesus surrounded himself with thieves, murderers, idolaters, adulterers, and I know a homosexual's in there somewhere. One of them niggas was a lesbian. And they just called her a him because she just had that type of swag. Believe me or not. So I'm just trying to say, Jesus was around like some cool people, everyday people. And it was not the people from the church that Jesus surrounded himself with. In real life, Tiphani Montgomery, who we're going to talk about in a minute, Jesus probably wouldn't be fooling with her. He'd be like, girl, get your self-righteous holy ass on somewhere. Go on, please. Go on. So let's get into it. Tiphani Montgomery set the internet ablaze when she released a sermonette and was going in on Beyonce. And she was saying that the concert that's coming up, the Renaissance Tour concert, is really a gateway. She was like, it's demonic energy. People are going to those concerts and you are not saved if you go into those concerts. That is devil work. That is witchcraft. Basically, in a nutshell, she was like, if you go to these concerts, you are not aligned spiritually with God, and God ain't in that. And you gonna go to hell if you go to them concerts, basically. And my thing is, and also your soul gonna be compromised and it's gonna be lost if you go to those concerts. And it sparked a blaze because a lot of Beyonce's followers, her beehive, they did not take kindly to that. And a lot of Christians didn't take kindly to that either. And some Christians actually did believe it, and they said, you know what, we're not going to go, because I felt the same way. So there are a few things that work here. If you are somebody that is spiritually inclined and you are energetically attuned, you feel that there is an energy surrounding this Beyonce concert. There is a fervor. It's the run to get the ticket sales is frenetic. there it is kinetic too. Like there's something in the atmosphere that is buzzing when it comes to this Beyonce concert. And I would be so sure to even say that there can be some portals opened up at this concert, to be honest, because it is so energetically, it's so high vibrational. And high vibrational is not always a positive thing. It just means that there's a lot going on. This type of thing attracts a lot of different things. This type of light attracts a lot of different insects. I'm using insects as a metaphor for different energies, entities, spirits, all of these things. Some are pure, some are, we can say, bad, quote unquote. But some things I don't usually say good or bad. Some things are just what they are. But it can attract light and it can attract darkness. You understand? So I feel like there is something going on with this concert. And when she does start to have these tours, this gravitational pull where everybody is coming, swarming into these concerts, every stadiums filled, all of that, it is almost like a worship thing going on. It is an exchange going on. But that is with any concert that you go to. It's with any concert that you go to. And I feel like because this is happening and her music is now celebrating the LGBTQ experience and, if anything, revering them, giving reverence to the pioneers in gay music and electronic music, the church has a particular problem with that, because we feel like, oh, you're playing this type of music in these stadiums and stuff like that, it's going to attract all type of lewdness and lasciviousness, and it's a portal for demonic activity and whoop-de-doo. But are we really examining who our performers are in these mega churches, who our pastors are, what their spirit is doing? Because if we look at some of the pastors, the preachers that are very popular or that were popular and took their own lives or died because of interesting circumstances, we can say that their spirit wasn't aligned either. Some of those people were laying hands on people and also behind closed doors laying hands on young children, if you get my drift. I think we need to put a lot of stuff into context, and a lot of things that are said in a pulpit is fear-mongering. Fear-mongering is when you purposely incite fear into a person or into an audience to lean them into your perspective, make them do what you want them to do. And that ultimately is emotional manipulation. And that is the wrong way to steer people to Christ. The Bible says, with love and kindness have I drawn thee. He didn't say with fear-mongering and I'm going to nail you to the cross and crucifixion and condemnation. He didn't say that, because that does not draw anybody. I think something that would have been more profound is if Tiphani would have got her behind up there and actually covered the Beyonce concerts, every last one of them, named every city that she was going to and covered them, because there's danger lurking out there. You never know. This could be a setup for a mass SHOOTING. Do you understand? This could be this could be something that could be classified as a hate crime if it ensues, because of the type of people that will be attending these concerts. Why didn't she get together and cover these Beyonce concerts? Why are we not getting together and covering Beyonce in prayer as we do our presidents? Because the musicians, the influential artists and acts out there, our young children pay attention to. If Tiphani has children, I'm sure that they love Beyonce music. And on Twitter, it came out that Tiphani had attended a Beyonce concert years ago, and she made a status about it and whatever. And Tiphani responded, was like, well, that was back in the day. I'm saved now. I'm changed. Whoop-de-doo. And then, I look at other people that talk about Beyonce and they used to love her. And then other people that actually condemn Beyonce because of the symbols and the outfits that she adorns herself with in her music videos. And some of that information is not factual. We pull from what we think is the real thing instead of actually going to the source. And the source says, and I'll use one thing for example, in Beyonce's music video for I believe it was Return of the King or something. Not Return of the King. It was for a Lion King soundtrack. Y'all know what I'm talking about? She was on a horse and she had that whole outfit and she had the crown over her head in braids and stuff like that, and she had the horns coming out, and she had this big round symbol in the middle of the horns on top of her head. And people was like, oh, that's Baphomet, that's the devil and stuff like that. But no, that really wasn't that at all. What Beyonce really was paying homage to was the goddess named Het Heru, which is the goddess of fertility, song, music, and dance. Can I be real with y'all? I just really want to, and I don't even know if I'll be able to articulate this the best way, but bear with me. The effects of colonization and slavery have really done a number on the psyche of Black people. First of all, we got to deal with the fact that subconsciously we believe that Jesus is white. Then we have to deal with the fact that subconsciously, not even subconsciously, consciously, we feel that African heritage and the way Africans honor their ancestors is inherently evil and demonic. And we think that is the farthest thing from God, the God that we serve and the God that we know to be love and grace and mercy. I'm gonna try to tread carefully, y'all. A lot of the things that we believe are demonic are actually ancestral. And honestly, I feel that there's grace in this because I know the history of it. I know where it all originated from. And I feel like Black Americans are doing their best to make it into heaven. But you have to examine the gospel, quote unquote, that was taught, the fear-mongering that was embedded in us and our ancestors as a people to keep us enslaved, to keep us subservient, to turn us away from the practices that sustained us before we were held captive. And it's so horrible how we don't understand our own history and how we've been robbed of that to where we can't even make an informed decision. And it's interesting because some of the West Indians and stuff like that really don't have super South African ties, I guess, they absconded too. Very hyper religious, very white Jesus. And I just think we really need to iron a lot of this stuff out because if it were not for, if we had the New Testament alone, if we had the New Testament and Proverbs and Psalms alone, that's it, I really think we will be a better people. Because a lot of the stuff that we're preaching from and that we're coming from is very Old Testament. Like we're not focusing on the redemption and the redeeming power and the love that Jesus showed. And we're focusing on the hellfire, brimstone, the God that would kill a motherfucker right off the bat if you didn't pay attention and listen to what he had to say. Like, I don't really know are y'all getting this? Because is this too much? Like, I'm just going to talk my talk. Okay? Because I really feel like Western culture, colonization, slavery has really robbed us of really understanding the true impact of our spirituality. And the weird thing is, so much of it is ingrained and integrated in our church experience. The dancing, the shouting, that is not inherent to white evangelical praise and worship and all that. That's not them. We brought that. The dances that we do, the laying of the hands, all of that, the pomp and circumstance, that is cultural. But we deem it as we're praising God and we get a dance in, like, and we're playing all this. If you really look at it, That could be seen as demonic too. But I mean, when I tell you, we really need to really study to show ourselves approved, not just the word, but also your history, also where things come from, to where you're not afraid to see it. If you could really strip down some of the preachers that we see every day and that we admire and revere and respect on TV and in person, if you could really see their spirit based on what they be, how they behave and what they do behind closed doors when the robes and the garb is taken away, if you could really see that energy, that spirit, that manifestation of what that looks like, you would think it was Baphomet. That's Baphomet, baby. Because when I tell you, they are some of the most divisive creatures that you'll see. They are some of the most whorish ones, some of the most maniacal, undercutting, unkind, unpleasant, mean ass people that you'll ever see in your life. Some of the people that are in the pulpit preaching the word. And the thing is, here we go. In the Bible, it said, remove thyself from me. I don't know you. Let me get that scripture right quick. I didn't mean to turn this into all of this, y'all, and some of y'all may not even be Christian, but we're going to talk about it today. Okay, so Matthew 7 in the Bible, and I'm reading from the New International Version, the NIV, y'all, and I'm going to be jumping around a little bit. So, chapter 7, verse 1 says, do not judge, or you too will be judged. Church already got that wrong. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you. How many preachers are safe from that? Because they judge a heck of a lot. But is their life clean the way they command our lives to be clean? Is it? I don't know. But it don't look like it. It goes on to read, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Baby, that merely says you're trying to remove something that is so small. You're trying to address such a small matter in somebody else's life when you got a big old situation going on in yours. And you can't even see clearly how to even minister or remove that speck from theirs because the plank that's in your way obstructs your clarity. So that's why I'm very careful over who speaks in my life, who ministers to me, even who rebukes me. Because if with your rebuke, it better become some self-awareness and some self-refusal on your end too. Because I just ain't got time for the hypocrisy of it all. So we're going to go down to verse 15 in chapter 7 still. It says, watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. Now, let's go to John 10 and 14. Not me having Bible study, y'all, but babe, we got to get into it. It says, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and lay my life down for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of the sheep of this pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. It said, my sheep know my voice. Y'all know that scripture? These false prophets will come to you as sheep. So they will come to you as Christians. I always had a weird misconstrued idea about they will come to you as in sheep's clothing. Like, what is that about? Like an innocent person, somebody that's not, they're going to come to you as Christians. But inwardly, they are ferocious wolves. Let's continue. Back to Matthew 7, verse 15. Now we're on verse 16. By their fruit, you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit, you will recognize them. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the cheat code. Look at what they bear. Look at their behaviors. Look at what their behaviors bring about. What did the fruit that the message from Tiphani Montgomery, what's the fruit of that message? Discourse, discord. Look at the fruit of that. Who from that fruit has come and said, you know what? I want to give my life to Christ. She didn't say, I feel there's something going on in the atmosphere concerning this Beyonce concert that troubles me. I want to pray for y'all. I want to reach out to y'all. Anybody who is going to that concert, I want you to be saved. If you go there, I want to cover you in prayer that you may know Jesus Christ. Like Beyonce says, she knows Jesus Christ. And then we can get into the conversation. All right, Beyonce does pray. She does know Jesus. If Beyonce knows Jesus, you need to know Jesus too. You don't only need to know her music. You need to know the God that she serves. Let me pray for y'all. Are y'all going to enjoy yourselves at this concert? She talks about love and inclusivity. Jesus would go to a Beyonce concert. Let me tell you about Jesus. He was somebody who was an outcast because he transgressed certain lines that Sadducees and Pharisees and these typical church people put in line for people to operate in. He went above and beyond what people would normally even do. He broke the rules. Beyonce is breaking the rules. She is drawing all people unto her through love and kindness. Jesus would be a fan of Beyonce. And she prays, and she does not decree that she is a devil follower. If anything, there's so much footage of her giving thanks to and glory to God. We don't know Beyonce's walk. What is the fruit that you are bearing? I don't want to see the behavior. People can be nice and every day, but what does your behavior bring about? What does it bear? Because sometimes we don't know fruit is bad until we cut that sucker open. We don't know. Some trees look great. Some plums look really good, but you cut it open, it's dry on the inside. There are worms, it's filled up with decay. We got to examine the fruit that people bear. We cannot just examine the fruit. We got to examine the insides of it, and we got to see what it brings about. Because a good tree will produce another good tree. What Tiphani Montgomery got up there and did is making me look at her funny, because I'm like, what? I don't see no, what fruit are we bearing? You got up there and you condemned. You got up there and you rebuked. But is that the place? Should you have edified? Should you have glorified the God that we serve through the message that you wanted to give? You got up there and you fear-mongered. You got up there and you put up something to put you on a pedestal above this entertainer that millions of people love. It got millions of attention. And it actually pushed those people further away from the God that you said is loving and kind and that saved your ghetto behind. And that gave you another chance. Gave you another day, because if God killed you in your sin, if a Beyonce concert could take you out of the will of God like that, you wouldn't be where you are today. We ain't talking about it. And I got to go even a little further with this Matthew 7 script, with this Matthew 7 chapter. Let's keep it moving. On Matthew 7, verse 21, it says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day," woo, Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, "Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? And in your name drive out demons, and in your name perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers." Baby. And that opens my eyes, because I never knew it was that personal to Jesus. Many on that day will say to me, "Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name?" Jesus is going to be at the right hand. And what blows my mind is that just lets me know that we can get up there and plead our case on Judgment Day. We can advocate for our salvation. Get out of here, man. Wait, hold up. What you mean? I can't come in. Jesus, in your name, we put Jesus on the tag. You can say Jesus as much as you want, but that won't even get you in the kingdom of God. That's crazy to me. In John 14:6, Lord, not this turn into a Bible study meeting. John 14:6 says, Jesus answered, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me, which further lets me know why people were petitioning Jesus as in, Lord, Lord, did I not do these things? Because you can't get to the Father but through him. You're going to have to talk to Jesus. And we really focusing on the old commandment God that didn't have much grace and much mercy, didn't have much patience. But we're going to have to go through Jesus. And if Jesus looks at your car, looks at your record, he going to be like, nah, baby, this ain't lining up. And for Jesus to tell you, get away from me. I do not know you. What were you doing? How much time were you wasting? You created all this division over a Beyonce concert over the stupid cares and concerns of this world, and you're not thinking about the life and the love and the internal salvation that some of these people could have. You worried about damnation right here, but you're not worried about eternal salvation. And that's not going to cut it. And the thing that opens my eyes is Jesus never said, get away from me, evildoers, to a sinner. He's saying that to the saved folks. He's saying that to the Christians. He's saying that to the prophets, the evangelists. I've yet to see, maybe I need to do some more studying, correct me if I'm wrong, that Jesus sent a sinner to hell, that Jesus sent a sinner away from him. I never seen that. Jesus sent the saved people, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, those pompous people that got the robes on, that you just know they say, those people, he said, get away from me. We focusing on the wrong things, y'all. We got this thing wrong. We got this thing wrong. We got this thing wrong. And I feel like there needs to be some repenting going on when it comes to how we slander these public figures, because our slandering is coming at a high cost, and it is coming at a cost to where people are turning away from the love of Christ. They're turning away from it because we are not even embodying the love of Christ. We got to do better, y'all. We have to do better. I call myself a Christ follower. When I got into the faith, I just was grandfathered in. I have the same faith that my parents have. I'm of the same belief system for the most part, or for the least part, because some things I've done away with because it doesn't compute. However, some of those people that were not grandfathered in has no clue that in hard times you do have somebody that you can call on, that there is something out there that does love you and care about you by the way life carries itself out, even within the harshest circumstances, that there is a God that you can call on. And the God that I know to be is not a God that is quote unquote the fairest all the time. They say favor isn't fair, and it really is not. I don't think God is this perfect creation, because if he was perfect, wouldn't perfect beget perfect? We aren't perfect. I think God is trying to get it together like we are. If God was perfect, there would be no need for Jesus. I think the love of Jesus is perfect because it perfectly encapsulates the fact that you are everything that we should not be. And yet you still loved us, even though we killed you, even though we sacrificed you. The ultimate expression of love. I think that is what perfection is. The ultimate love story. That is it. It's not these rules, y'all. It ain't that. What rules will we have to keep up in heaven? Think about it. I only want the pure. I only want the people that ain't got a spot. That's cool and all. But Jesus died full of sin. Where did Jesus go? That's what I'm just saying. And there are scriptures that go into that too. But I'm just trying to let you know that it ain't about what we think it's about. I really feel like we should focus more on the way Jesus moved and grew to where we don't have to concern ourselves with these silly topics. We don't have to get up in the pulpit and waste hours in billable time, people's time in their space, condemning Beyonce in concerts and stuff like that. When you really should be parishioning people and you really should be doing charity work for the most part. We should be seeing those type of things. We're concerning ourselves with too much. So I do believe that you can be saved. I do believe that you can attend that Beyonce concert. And I do believe that you'll be all right. Because some of the portals that we really need to be concerned about is this rectangular device in our hands. An hour and a half, a 2-hour experience is not going to damn you to hell. It's just not. It won't. It won't. And let's say it do. And let's say you get in that car. And let's say you did see a live and you did see somebody praying and covering the people that came to the Beyonce concert. And you gave your life to Christ. In 3 minutes, with me, you'll be in paradise. Isn't that what Jesus said on that cross? With that sinner beside him? I'm gonna let y'all do that. I ain't gonna go to that one because we done had a lot of Bible study today. But in a millisecond, a few minutes, out of all that man's life at that last moment, he really accepted Christ in his heart. He accepted the love that Jesus had to give. He was like, you will look what you can do in that time span that you spent condemning Beyonce and making people feel conflicted. You could have really brought them to a place of introspection. To where if they wanted to go to this concert or not, they was like, we're just going to go have a good time. I'm going to pray before we go here and we're going to have a good time because I'm telling you what we spend most of our time doing is on these phones. And that's what we need to be guarded against. I don't think we understand the psychological effects of technology, and we may not experience that until years later. I feel like phones are like cigarettes were back in the 60s, in the 50s. There were billboards promoting cigarettes as a healthy alternative to certain things. That it cures this, it cures that, it's good for you. Literally, it was in magazines and all over. Nobody thought it was just a benign thing. Oh, you got a cigarette, cool. And now it's causing people cancer. It's taboo to even see people still smoking cigarettes. I feel like that's what is going to come about with technology and social media. There might even be laws to limit the screen time of social media because of the damaging effects of it on our brains. And this is what we really need to be dealing with. But we're not talking about the stuff that matters. We're not talking about the preachers in the pulpit. And I'll leave you with this. If anything, why are we not dealing with the church people? Because if we really want to talk about it, who the main celebrities in Kojic right now, the Clark sisters, were on that Beyonce Renaissance album. Dorinda Clark Cole's voice was on that album. Twinkie Clark's composition was on that album. And somebody had to greenlight it to be used, for that sample to be used. So why aren't the Clark sisters getting this type of vitriol from the church? Is it because we know they saved and we just gonna overlook it? It's fine. We not gonna do that? Like, if we gonna really call a spade, why aren't you coming against the Clark sisters like you coming against innocent people that want to go to a Beyonce concert? Or Christians that want to enjoy Beyonce? If the Clark sisters can do it, why can't we do it? That's what I'm just trying to put some certain things in perspective. I really am. Because they getting passes. They're still getting to preach in these pulpits. And their voice is literally on a song with the same words, mother effer in it, twerking that ass, doing all of this in the same song. And you mean to tell me you getting in the pulpit after that and your voice is on this secular song? This ain't no love making R&B song. This is like you feel like we ain't talking about that though. Because we're choosing what we want to condemn. And that ain't helping nobody. If anything, if you did condemn the Clark sisters, it probably would prick a lot of gospel artists to be like, you know what, I need to like chill on the crossover content and really get centered in my message. If my voice is going to be sampled to something, I'm going to make sure that somebody can listen to this song and be saved. If anything, I don't know. I'm just talking, y'all. If you don't agree with it, so what? Like, we all have our own opinions. But I'm just telling you, the gospel truth is, we got to get it together. We got to do better. We got to do better. You can listen to Beyonce. I believe you can. And you can be saved. And the gag is, Church Girl might be playing at the pearly gates when you get there. Okay? Just make sure you get there and you be let in. Because a lot of y'all going to get there, but you're not going to be let in. And I will be damned if I spend my life praying on people, calling on the name of Jesus, and doing that work and still not see it. Because a lot of these people think they getting in. That's the crazy thing about it. He didn't address the sinners. He's not talking about the sinners. He's talking about these saints. Y'all need to be focused on y'all walk, because some of y'all ain't getting in. The ones who are calling, the ones who are preaching, the ones who are laying of it, y'all ain't getting in. Are you not worried? Are you not worried? My brother, my sister. We got to get it together. So, these ampersands are going to be a little shorter these days. I'm going to leave it at that. You hear me? And I, once again, apologize for waiting so long to get back to y'all. Like, yo, it takes a minute for me to get my shit together. I ain't going to hold you. I am going to be, and also, instead of like Mondays, I think I'm going to be coming out with these episodes on Tuesdays because it gives me more wiggle time. You feel me? So I'm going to release this episode on Monday, but the following week, I'm going to start doing them on Tuesdays, and I'm going to start doing Ask Aubrey's on Thursdays. I'm going to keep Ask Aubrey's on Thursdays if I can make it. Because y'all know, if you don't know, I got a lot going on. So with that being said, I think we covered the ampersands. You can be saved and you can enjoy Beyonce. You can also be saved and you can go to hell. Hello? And with that being said, baby, this has been Aubrey O'Shea with the Ampersand Podcast. And thank you so much for listening. And I appreciate you 4 delicious, beautiful subscribers for tuning in every goddamn time I post something. Baby, share it with a friend, baby, and discuss it and let me know what y'all think about it. All right? Okay. So, this has been Aubrey O'Shea with the Ampersand Podcast, and I'm signing off. Bye, y'all.